Alrighty. Welcome, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay? Make sure the microphone level is good to go. What's up, Ace? Calcite Lion. Love it. Concentrated foliated calcite. Audio's working well. Alright. Thank you, Astro Snacks. Alright. Let me pull down our audio. So, this is going to be a very interesting stream. I stumbled across this video while just looking over the YouTubes for some Star Wars content, and oh my. For those of you, if you guys were here for the last stream that we did, found a video that I had to double check and make sure it wasn't an April Fool's video. This one, oh, calcite. I apologize. My HD, what's that called? We can't read good. Read words good. Whatever that is. Yeah, so that video I thought had to be an April Fool's prank. This one is worse. This one is absolutely unhinged, off the rails, and it was uploaded 2 months ago. So unless he was doing a November Fool's, this is an actual theory. This is something he actually believes. Dyslexia, there we go. We got brain dyslexia. I can't even think of what words are. So we're gonna jump into this quick because I'm technically on lunch break for work, and I will have to clock in at some point. To aid with that, I have actually cut down this video a little bit because homeboy, and I want to make it clear, whenever I cover videos, my goal is to criticize points, not people. I don't care about who the person is, I just care about what they're saying. That being said, the style of video that Generation Tech tends to make is probably my least favorite style of video, where it's halfway between a live stream and a video essay. It's something that he's got some notes on, but he hits record and just kind of rambles for, in this case it was I think 17 minutes, 16 or 17 minutes. Completely unstructured, kind of meandering all over the place, which is fine, I think, for a live stream because you're hanging out with the chat. I'm just kind of, you know, rolling around. No, not blaming Mace Windu. It's more unhinged than that. Dyad. So you have like the style of videos where you sit down and you script everything and go through it. You have the kind of less version of that where you have points and you're kind of on top of things though, and you're getting things out quick. You got live streams like this where we can kind of be relaxed and kind of, you know, chill out, you know, talk through stuff at whatever pace we want. And then we have videos like this where it's framed as you're going to make an argument, but the first it takes 7 minutes in this 16-minute video to get to the point that he's trying to make. And so I have cut it down just to kind of simplify things. A lot of the things he goes over in the first part of it are just kind of normal stuff. I've got the highlights of what he says here, but I tried to trim it down so we can get to the actual crazy part of what he is talking about. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna jump into it here. Let me take down my cover here. And he uses a lot of clips from the movies, so I'm going to keep this copyright shield on most of the time just to make sure my channel does. Oh, let me get chat up. I forgot to. Still learning how to live stream and stuff, so there we go. There's your beautiful faces. All right. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to turn off our music because he's got some music playing in the background of his. Let me unmute. I'm going to play the first couple seconds of it. You guys let me know if the audio is good for the video.
Hello, Alan. Welcome back to another episode of Friends. My name is Generation Tech. The sequel trilogy remains the most maligned part of the Star Wars.
Is that good? Is it too loud? What do you guys think?
Hello, Alan. Welcome back to another episode of Friends. My name is Generation Tech.
Looks good on my levels, but I just want to make sure it's coming through okay. Audio is fine. Cool. All right. Here we go. We're going to listen to the first couple minutes. There are a couple of kind of crazy things that he says. Like I said, I cut this up to kind of save our brain cells. He's got a big meandering intro that will kind of jump through parts of it. So, yeah, here we go. The way he speaks is terrible. Again, I don't want to criticize people, just points. He does seem to not care if he messes up words and just kind of rolls through, which, again, that's a style that you can go with. It doesn't, from my point of view, it doesn't seem to show a tremendous amount of care for what you're doing when you put out a product where you stumble over your words. That being said, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really affect the points that he's making, which I care more about. And I promise you by the end of this video, him stumbling over a couple of words is going to be the last thing on your mind.
Hello, Alan. Welcome back to another episode of Friends. My name is Generation Tech. The sequel trilogy remains the most maligned part of the Star Wars lore, and unlike the hatred that the prequels received, the sequels 10 years later isn't really recovering. Now, I personally have mixed feelings about the sequel.
Shocking, isn't it? That the sequels are not receiving the same amount of love that the prequels got. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
In all honesty, I'm pretty meh about most Star Wars films now. Like, I love the prequels because of nostalgia. I understand.
Oh, so he answered the question there. People have nostalgia for the prequels. I wonder if anybody's really going to have nostalgia for the sequels. Well, I guess time will tell.
And that. I love the original trilogy because it introduced Star Wars. I also understand that. But honestly, ask me what my favorite Star Wars experiences are, and I'll probably list a handful of novels, video games, and obviously the Andor TV series.
Obviously. You got to throw that in there, otherwise you can't be taken seriously as a Star Wars critic on YouTube.
The more elitist, film critic side of my brain has always understood that Star Wars is janky as hell. And the sequels to it.
So, did you catch that? He said the elitist critic part of my brain has always recognized that Star Wars is janky as hell. I think that's a very bold prediction, a bold statement to make about especially A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, because I don't find those films to be very janky at all until the special editions came out. Then they got infiltrated with some jank. But yeah, to say that all of the Star Wars films have been janky as hell, I think that's not fair, especially the incredible amount of technological advancement that the movies, even the prequels, provided to the film industry. To call them janky, I don't know if that's exactly the word I would choose, especially if I was using my elitist film critic side of my brain. Seems like not exactly the right take there, but let's see what else he says.
Video games and obviously the Andor TV series. The more elitist, film critic side of my brain has always understood that Star Wars is janky as hell. And the sequels, to its credit, really does follow that tradition of being janky.
So he says Star Wars has been janky as hell, but then he gives credit to the sequels for also being janky. It seems like a soft way of trying to defend the sequel trilogy by saying, well, the movies were janky all along. I don't find that to be the case personally, but again, we're on a time crunch here, so I won't spend too much time on this point.
I actually enjoyed The Force Awakens. It felt like returning home. But then we have the second film, which I think As a standalone story was pretty good. I mean, excellent even. There's drama, big battles, shocking moments, everything you would want from a space opera. It also felt like Rian Johnson completely ignores the character development and relationships created in the first movie, and also, honestly, in the original trilogy. And so by the time we get to the third movie in the sequel...
So his take on TLJ, at least according to this video, I haven't watched his other videos on The Last Jedi, he thinks it's a good standalone movie by itself because of the drama, the conflict, and everything like that, but it falls short because of the damage that it does to characters from previous movies, you know, The Force Awakens, and from the original movies. That is a take that I've heard before. It's a less popular take. Usually someone is on the side of it's great and it does great things for the legacy. On the other side, people say it's bad and it's terrible for every reason. It's not even a good standalone movie. It's rare to see kind of a more Fence City position where you're like, oh, it's a great movie by itself, but not great for the lore. I can understand that position a little bit more than the other extreme of it's great for the lore, because I think if you sit down and look at it, it does damage to Star Wars. So at least he's recognizing that. So we haven't gone off the deep end just yet.
Trilogy, it became clear that they didn't really have a full element in relationships created in the first movie, and also, honestly, in the original trilogy. And so by the time we get to the third movie...
So this is his take on The Rise of Skywalker. The incredible depth of analysis we're working with here.
In the sequel trilogy, it became clear that they didn't really have a full story or a plan when they started filming this trilogy. They kind of just winged it and then switched directors multiple times. That's billions of dollars on the line. Kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy. The Generation Tech depth of analysis there. Pretty crazy.
Now, one of the biggest problems that a lot of fans had with the sequel films was the fact that all of their favorite characters, including Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo, acted completely different from how we typically would imagine them. And to make matters worse, we have the whole Ben Solo-Kylo Ren situation. Not only are the Solos' relationship falling apart, it seems like they're pretty shitty parents as well. Look, I'm usually not someone who gets angry about this stuff like...
True. That's just true. But we got that part there. He says, you know, a lot of the fans were upset because the characters don't act like they used to, and the Solos are kind of crappy parents, and there's all this stuff that is worse categorically than it was before. And then this isn't my editing here, he goes off on this little tangent here that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
You would imagine them. And to make matters worse, we have the whole Ben Solo-Kylo Ren situation. Not only are the Solos' relationship falling apart, it seems like they're pretty shitty parents as well. Look, I'm usually not someone who gets angry about this stuff, like, you know, creators kind of doing their own things with the story and the characters, because I don't have time for this.
He doesn't have time to worry about Star Wars.
In all honesty, I'm a grown-ass man.
He's a grown-ass man.
And, you know, recently my family's gone really accustomed to the Kirkland luxury lifestyle, so I have to, like, fight to maintain that. Did you guys hear about, like, the Lululemon partnership with Kirkland? I got my glutes looking amazing.
Okay, I'm not really sure what he was talking about there. But if you know anything about Generation Tech, he is a pretty big-time Star Wars YouTuber. He's got almost 900,000 subscribers last time I looked. And he's made over 2,000 videos about Star Wars. And so to hear him put out this video, obviously didn't have it super well thought through or super well planned, which again, that's on him. And to go through this first, like, we're 2 minutes into this video, but this is about 5 or 6 minutes into the video with stuff I cut out. To be like, yeah, whatever, Star Wars is dumb. I don't have time for this. I'm a grown-ass man. It's like, okay, is that really the message you want to communicate to your subscribers? That you think that all of this is beneath you? All of this Star Wars stuff is for kids? I've got a family. I shop at Costco. They have Lululemons. Like, what is even going on? Has he just lost respect for Star Wars? Has he stopped caring about Star Wars? If so, why is he still doing it? And I think the answer to that question is in that little tangent where he says, I have a family to support. I shop at Costco now. They have a certain level of standard of living that they want to, Lululemons that they want to have. And so I got to pump out these videos just to make money. And it's like, man, if all you're doing this is for the grind, maybe do something else, find a different job. Because I don't know, if I was subscribed to him, a couple years ago, I used to watch some of his stuff more regularly, and he was more invested in Star Wars, more excited about stuff, more passionate. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. More passionate. I disagreed with him on a bunch of stuff, a bunch of his takes, like we've already talked about, but he was passionate about it. And then he puts out this video, and it's just kind of meandering and not really, focused. And then he talks about how he's above it. It's hard to grasp why he would still be doing this if he feels like he's so far above it. Anyway, it was a weird tangent that I wanted to take a little bit of a closer look at, because it's interesting that he seems to not care so much about what's going on about Star Wars at all, and then he comes out with this video. It kind of makes you question the intention behind it, if that makes sense. Like, is this a good faith theory that he's bringing up because he thinks it's actually plausible, or he thinks it's interesting, or is he just trying to rage bait and get views so that he can get money, so that he can buy Costco Lululemons? I don't know, but he put this in the video, so it's worthy of looking at and questioning.
But anyway, this whole relationship in the sequels was just really too weird for me. Like, why would they deliberately make these beloved characters' backstories so depressing all of a sudden? So
it's a great question. Absolute great question. He has an answer to it that he's about to reveal to us. And you guys aren't ready. I'm just going to say that you aren't ready for the theory that he's putting forth here.
It's like they wanted to destroy the characters so that we would kind of latch on to the new characters that they created.
Okay, that's one theory. Wanted to destroy the old characters so that we would latch on to the new ones. Personally, if I was resurrecting a franchise, I think taking the characters that people care about, destroying them, and then trying to get them to care about new characters would not be my strategy. And to be fair to Lucasfilm and the creative team, I don't think that's what they were doing. I think that's what inadvertently happened in their desire to prop up their new characters. They ended up kind of putting their old characters on the back burner and then turning that burner up and burning them. But I don't think that was the intention. That's one theory that he's posited. He has another theory that he's about to talk about here.
But anyway, let's get back to the family dynamics between the Solos and the Skywalkers. Something really is disturbing about all of this.
Something disturbing.
And actually I started thinking a little bit about what happened with the original trilogy. You see, when they made...
Okay, he's going to break this all down for us, all right? So don't worry. Don't worry, he's gonna give us a very clear explanation of his theory.
The original trilogy, George Lucas, despite what he says, totally didn't have a lot of things planned.
So I'm not aware of anywhere that Lucas claims that he had the entire trilogy planned exactly as it is right now. As far as I know, he didn't even plan on having sequels when he made the first Star Wars. And then when he did decide to do sequels, he had a completely different story written out for it that he had to change and morph as time went along. He eventually, at one point, I know during the making of Empire Strikes Back, he wanted to have a separate character that was Luke's twin sister, that it wasn't going to be Leia. And then by the time they were coming around to making Return of the Jedi, he scrapped that and kind of made Leia that sister character. He seems to be framing it as if George Lucas has pretended that he has had a plan all along, which I don't think was the case. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
All of this, And actually, I started thinking a little bit about what happened with the original trilogy. You see, when they made the original trilogy, George Lucas, despite what he says, totally didn't have a lot of things planned. He kind of made up a lot of things along the way. How do we know this? Well, Luke flirts with his sister.
Okay, he's going to give us some ways of how we know this. I'm pretty sure we just know it because George said it. It's come out in interviews that, you know, he had to change things along the way. I don't think this is some secret that he's revealing based on clues in the movies. I think it just is what it is.
In episode 4, hooks up with her in episode.
Oh, whoa. Hold on a second.
George Lucas, despite what he says, totally didn't have a lot of things planned. He kind of made up a lot of things along the way. How do we know this? Well, Luke flirts with his sister in episode 4.
Flirts with his sister. Okay. At the time of writing, it wasn't his sister. And then he says, what did they do in Empire Strikes Back?
When they made the original trilogy, George Lucas, despite what he says, totally didn't have a lot of things planned. He kind of made up a lot of things along the way. How do we know this? Well, Luke flirts with his sister in episode 4, hooks up with her in episode 5.
Hooks up with her. I'm not sure which version of Empire Strikes Back he's been watching, but that is not what happened in that movie.
On multiple occasions.
On multiple occasions. I think he downloaded the wrong version of Empire Strikes Back, y'all. I think he's watching the wrong one. They definitely didn't hook up. She kisses Luke specifically to make Han jealous, to try and get back at Han, not because she's necessarily on the Luke train. I think that's pretty clear based on what we see in the scene. The previous scene where, you know, in the South tunnels with Han and Leia, the way they're talking, it's pretty clear what they're setting up. I don't think the implication here was that they hooked up at any point during this movie, let alone multiple times. She kisses him here. She kisses him at the end of the movie when they're on the Falcon after they rescue him. But I must not have the extended version. That must be it. I must be just watching the theatrical cut. Let's see.
And finally, in a shocking moment that rivals Darth Vader's parental reveal, we find out finally in episode 6 that Luke and Leia are related, which means that every time Luke and Leia kissed, Darth Vader most likely felt a disturbance in the Force, which only made him more sad and angry.
So he's just making a little joke here, but he's about to foreshadow his theory,
which is a great PSA on why you should remain present in your children's lives, so at a minimum they know that they're related and they don't hook up with one another and create dark side demon babies. Star Wars.
Yep, we'll get to that. It's a little foreshadowing for you of what he thinks happens in the sequel movies.
Wars, as always, have these weird moments hidden in the storyline, and Disney, being a family-friendly studio who wants to preserve George Lucas's legacy, might have gone in the same direction here. No.
So he says Star Wars has always been disturbing, has always had these weird things. And maybe he's being sarcastic when he says Disney, being a family-friendly studio, decided to keep that trend. Not sure. That seems like a contradiction there. He's probably just being sarcastic. So let's hear what he has to say.
I'm being serious. Like the theory I'm about to.
Oh, he said he's being serious. Never mind.
In the storyline, and Disney, being a family-friendly studio who wants to preserve George Lucas's legacy, might have gone in the same direction here. No, I'm being serious. Like the theory I'm about to feed to you guys kind of fixes a lot of the weird inconsistencies with the characters in the sequels.
So this theory he's about to present to us is going to fix all the problems in the sequels, okay? And this is what we wanted, right? The people who have an issue with the sequels, we want something to come along and fix it. Some explanation as to why the characters are the way they are. So let's hear what he has to say as he speaks into his swirl of cotton candy.
In a very disturbing way. It also explains why Han Solo and Leia aren't together and why Luke is living in some random hut in the middle of nowhere. These people are all disgusted by the decisions and choices they've made. So Luke tells Leia that they are related on the eve of the Battle of Endor and 4ABY, and it's been a pretty crazy week for both of them. On freaking Monday, they were on Tatooine still trying to free.
So, importantly, right, he says that Luke tells her that they're related after the battle, or before the Battle of Endor, which is true. Luke doesn't find out that they're related until just before they go to Endor, right? He goes to Yoda, visits with Ben, and so at this scene that he's got showing right now, back on Monday, as he says, Luke did not have this revelation yet. So Just throwing that out there so we can all be on the same page.
So Luke tells Leia that they are related on the eve of the Battle of Endor in 4ABY, and it's been a pretty crazy week for both of them. On freaking Monday, they were on Tatooine still trying to free Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt.
Also, important thing to note, they were there to rescue Jabba the Hutt. That will be important for the discussion later.
Leia had tried to go in dressed as a bounty hunter, but ends up in the sexy slave girl outfit, which of course leads to Luke pulling off his rescue maneuver.
So, interesting. We all know that there's problems with this whole rescue mission. It's all very clunkily written. Send in the droids, then send in Leia and Chewie. But also you sent in Lando before, and then Luke has to come in, and it's an absolute wreck. Okay, this scene, we know that for sure. However, it was all in service of rescuing Han, and it was planned out. As far as I'm aware, that this was the sequence of events that they had come up together to try and rescue Han. That they would try first with the droids, then they tried with Leia, and failing that, Luke would come and save the day. Why they didn't just start with Luke, who knows? But again, we know that there are issues here. So I'm not going to try and defend the logic of this scene, but the things that he infers into the scene, I think despite how little thought was put into this scene, this was not the intention, what he's about to present.
From Jabba the Hutt. Princess Leia had tried to go in dressed as a bounty hunter, but ends up in the sexy slave girl outfit, which of course leads to Luke pulling off his rescue maneuver. Look, I'm going to give you a very clean-cut, no bullshit kind of explanation of what's happening in this scene.
Clean-cut, no BS explanation of what's happening in this scene. So he's got this figured out, y'all. All right, he's going to explain it to us. He's going to lay it on the table, you know. He's going to thunk it right there for us and tell us what we're watching here.
If a straight guy knows a woman that is even slightly attractive, and Carrie Fisher is very attractive here, if that man sees that same woman in a metal bikini, it completely changes that man's view of that woman.
Excuse me? Where the hell is he going with this?
Probably forever.
I mean, I know we were all 13 once, and you know, I'm sure we were all very interested in this particular section of the VHS tape. But you are reading, 100%, you are reading your own horniness into this scene. Listen to the way he talks about this.
That's just how a lot of guys are wired, and that's why we have dress codes. That same woman in a metal bikini, it completely changes that man's view of that woman. Probably forever. That's just how a lot of guys are wired, and that's why we have dress codes in the office. I mean, you can throw a suit on a man. It doesn't matter how expensive it is. At the end of the day, there's just a monkey in that clothing trying to control his impulses.
Bro. Luke isn't showing up here at this moment to talk to Jabba, and he's there gawking at Leia. He's not, oh, Leia, I thought you were wearing the bounty hunter costume. I guess you decided to show up to work in some... What are you talking about? Luke is here to rescue Han and to rescue her from being a prisoner, being a slave. He's not there like, you know, Luke is, at this point in the series, Luke is a very level-headed guy. He's been training as a Jedi. Obviously, he comes into the scene very poised, very in control. You know, he has grown up quite a bit. He's not objectifying her. He's feeling concerned for her, I'm sure. You know, sadness that she's being objectified, that she's being enslaved. He's not standing there trying to keep his lightsaber from igniting. He's in negotiation with Jabba, who has his friends' lives in the palm of his hand. And not to mention, based on what you said, like, changes the way he looks at her. According to your theory, according to his theory, they've already hooked up twice. So this shouldn't change the way he looks at her, because he should have already seen more than this, right? If they've already hooked up multiple times in the last movie. Oh, but again, this is no BS. This is the no BS explanation of what's happening in the scene. Also, this is why we have dress codes in the office? So that women in the workplace don't show up in gold bikinis? Like, oh man, I really wanted to wear my gold bikini to work today, but they introduced this new dress code, so I guess I'll have to go with the pantsuit. The hell is he even talking about? Leia isn't showing up to a Senate meeting dressed like this. She's been enslaved. Isn't that the whole thing? I mean, yeah, this is just nonsense. Just absolute nonsense.
And from Leia's point of view, she's experiencing horrific trauma. She's forced to wear this extremely demeaning outfit, and she's chained to a gigantic slug that has a strength of like 5 polar bears and smells like the worst combination of bodily fluids and excrement you can imagine.
Hey, man, you don't know that. You don't know Jabba smells bad. For all you know, he smells like tobacco and leather. Jabba might have that sandalwood going on. He could have that Old Spice. You don't know that he smells bad. That's racist, dude. Her face is disgusted when she goes up. I'm pretty sure that's not because of the smell. I'm pretty sure it's because he's a predator. And he sticks his tongue out at her. Just assuming that Jabba smells bad. That must be the elitist side of your brain. Also, it implies that if she was enslaved by someone else that wasn't a Hutt, it would be less traumatic. That kind of downplays the trauma of being enslaved as a sex slave. I mean, does he think that if she was enslaved by some rich, handsome billionaire, that it would be better? Pretty sure the enslavement part is the bad part, not who's doing the enslaving. But also, as humiliating as her position, being in this position is, and she's disgusted by Jabba, of course, because, you know, he's a giant sexual assault slug. Her mood throughout the entire scene, when she's not looking at him being disgusted, she doesn't seem traumatized. There doesn't seem to be any trauma moving forward. What I read is indignant. Like, she's mad. She's not scared. She's not being scarred. You know, you think about that scene in Tales of the Bounty Hunters when she's led to Boba's room for him to have his way with her as a present for bringing Han Solo. When Jabba sends her there, she's ready to throw hands. She's not scared, cowering in a corner. She's not, you know, she's ready to throw hands with like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. And I mean, Boba is based, you know, he's a Chad. He doesn't touch her, but still, that's not the read that I got off of the scene, that she was traumatized by this. She seems more upset by it, kind of put out, inconvenienced, you might say. I'm sure she said, you know, she wasn't a fan of it. I'm sure she talked to her space therapist about it a little bit, but yeah, and he did he laughed when he said demeaning outfit. Not to mention, at the beginning of the scene, he talks about, oh, and Leia got in the sexy outfit, and, you know, oh, Carrie Fisher is very sexy here. It's like, I thought this was a traumatic, compromised position that she's in, and you're objectifying her. So you're contradicting your own BS here. Oh, but don't worry, it gets worse. Look at that handsome man. Look at that. Look at that. Let me take away the copyright cover here. Look at that man. Ah, what a guy. Remember, he saved the rebellion in Star Wars Outlaws. He saved Kay Vess in the rebellion, so he's not that bad of a guy. He kind of got done dirty by the rebellion in the end. He probably smells good. He'd probably cuddle up and just fall asleep in his grubby little hands.
Extremely demeaning outfit, and she's chained to a gigantic slug that has a strength of like 5 polar bears and smells like the worst combination of bodily fluids and excrement you can imagine. Plus there's the slime, which I imagine gets everywhere.
Well, I mean, say that like it's not nice to be slimed. Like it's not nice to have some slime on you. Nickelodeon, right? They made a business out of that. They made their name on slime. So don't be besmirching slime here.
Princess Leia is a very strong woman, that's for sure, but even she feels vulnerable and sick in this position. So when Luke starts cracking skulls and tries to save her, not only is she extremely grateful, I think there's a great deal of attraction here as well.
Ooh, boy. Here we go. Luke saving her is... She's attracted to him for saving her. It gets worse.
He feels vulnerable and sick in this position. So when Luke starts cracking skulls and tries to save her, not only is she extremely grateful, I think there's a great deal of attraction here as well. And very likely it's a mutual attraction, because look at that hand placement as Luke and Leia swing away from this.
The hand placement, y'all. You guys weren't paying attention to the scene. This is the no BS explanation. Look at the hand placement. Just look at it.
Starlight pits. The hand placement is in between sibling and lover, but I think it's a little closer to where a lover would...
Sorry? In between sibling and lover?
Hand placement as Luke and Leia swing away from the Starlight pits. The hand placement is in between sibling and lover, but I think it's a little closer to where a lover would put their hand.
A little closer to where a lover would put their... Dude. I can't believe this. I still can't believe this. I watched this video a dozen times getting ready for this, and I still can't believe he's saying this with a straight face.
And remember, this scene happens after Luke and Leia have spent the entire year together after the disastrous events on Hoth and Bespin. Both are quite confused, and both feel very vulnerable, and they need someone there to kind of make them feel whole.
They're confused after Bespin. They need someone there to make them whole. You know, Bespin, where Han Solo was frozen in carbonite after Leia declared to him that she loves Luke. Wait, no, that's not what happened. What did she say?
Princess Leia has to step up and become a key member of the Rebel Alliance High Command after much of the leadership was scattered after the Battle of Hoth. And Luke, well, he's lost his hand, and he's also discovered his mortal enemy, Darth Vader, is actually his father. Mostly, he might seem calmer and wise, but internally, there's a lot of things going on. He needs someone to ground him.
Needs someone to ground him. Told you guys you weren't ready for this.
I think Luke and Leia's shared love for Han Solo also brings the two closer. When you lose one leg in the tripod, suddenly the two last legs have to really lean against each other.
What is he talking about? This is so unhinged. This dude's trying to 50 Shades of Grey my Star Wars. Like, come on, get out of here, man. You are... Congratulations, you're probably the first person on Earth to think about this. Because no one would read this scene this way. Read these movies this way. I mean, I'm glad we're getting the no BS explanation here, but...
There's definitely a lot of sexual tension between these two in the first two movies, and take a look at when Luke tells Leia that they're related. The mood, the music, the way they act, it's all a little bit menacing and weird.
Menacing and weird.
Right?
There's more. It won't be easy for you to hear it, but you must.
Why won't it be easy, Luke? I mean, if I found out that someone who I was very close to, that I care about a lot, was actually related to me, I'd be excited. Unless...
The Force is strong in my family.
Pausing for copyright.
My father has it. I have it. And my sister has it.
What makes this even weirder is what Leia says next.
Okay, before we get to that, he says that this whole thing is disturbing and the music is, like, menacing. Okay, it's not because his theory, it's because she's realizing that her dad is Space Hitler. This is her I am your father moment from Empire Strikes Back. This is where Luke realizes, you know, this is Leia's version of when Luke realizes that Vader is his father. This is her moment where she comes to realize that. She's not thinking about the time that they Cersei and Jaime Lannistered and that That's bad because they're siblings. She's thinking about the fact that her dad is Space Hitler. That's why this is tense. And what she says next, oh, I know, somehow I've always known. It's a recognition of an intuition of their connection that they've had since they met. It's not I've always known that we were siblings. It's when that information is revealed, she's saying, this sounds crazy, but it clicks. I don't have to be convinced of this because the pieces fall into place. The feelings that I felt, the connection, how they talk to one another through the Force at the end of Empire Strikes Back. Things are clicking into place for her, and it's a horrifying realization. As we know, when Han comes out and he's asking her if she's okay, and she's like, just hold me. There's a lot going through her head right now. And I can promise you, unless I just have the BS version, and he's got the no BS version, that is not running through her brain. Because it never happened.
Yes. It's you, Leia.
I know. Somehow.
Boring.
I've always known.
So this shows us that Leia and Luke are somewhat aware of the fact that they might be related, even when they hooked up all those many times.
Dude, they didn't hook up. Where is he getting this? What version of the movie does he have?
Which makes me think that they confused romantic love. I mean, they confused familial love for romantic love. That holds up in court, but not in the court of public opinion, I feel like. There's something wrong about this. What's even more disturbing...
Sorry about that. I hit my mic. So, they confused familial love for romantic love. And that holds up in the court of public... What are you talking about? Yeah, exactly. Hooked up all those many times. The one kiss. 2 kisses if you have any inkling to want to be generous towards this argument. They do share another kiss at the end of Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, unless he has a version of the movie, the extended edition that I haven't seen, they did not hook up.
Disturbing is if we take a look at the scene, it happens about a year before Kylo Ren is born. And although Leia and Han kind of have a moment after the Battle of Endor, Luke
kind of have a moment. This is kind of have a moment.
There's something wrong about this. What's even more disturbing is if we take a look at the scene, it happens about a year before Kylo Ren is born. And although Leia and Han kind of have a moment after the Battle of Endor, Luke,
kind of have a moment when he reciprocates the fact that he loves her. After she said it to him on Bespin. And then they get back. She confirms that she is not on the Luke train. And he has the great revelation. We get this great face. And they kiss. And I feel like maybe I'm just reading into this in the BS explanation. And he's got the no BS version. But I would classify this as more than kind of had a moment.
Luke and Leia also share many moments together during this time when Kylo Ren is conceived. Oftentimes,
told y'all aren't ready for where this is going. It's already unhinged, but it gets more unhinged.
Luke and Leia are training.
They're spending time together,
using lightsabers,
whatever type of connection
that Luke and Leia had before this reveal. It seems to have gotten only closer once they realize that they're related. Which leads me to the point that I think a lot.
Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. Yep, knowingly Lannistered. The Skywalkers always pay their debts, apparently.
You can already see coming. The reason why the original cast of Star Wars is so dejected and bummed out in the sequels is because Ben Solo isn't the son of Leia and Han Solo. He's actually the son of Luke and Leia. Suddenly all the
And there it is.
pieces come into place. All the strange behavior, the unexplained gloominess now seem to make sense. Han and Leia's...
It fixes everyone, guys. It fixes everything. It fixes all the characters. Now the sequels are good, y'all.
marriage is strained not because Leia is busy with politics and Han Solo is busy running a freight or racing speeders. It's because of this huge mistake that Luke and Leia made all those years earlier. I understand relationships fail, but Han and Leia, despite both being strong-headed, seem to really desire family and a relationship. You know how Han falls for Akira and is willing to do almost anything for her, right? I mean, internally, Han's kind of a softie and a romantic. That's why he's always so cynical and snarky. He's trying to, protect himself. Poor guy. When he looks at Princess Leia, he knows that she's completely out of his league, and so he...
Okay, so not only did Luke place his hand closer to a lover position on Leia's body than a sibling position when they were swinging off of Jabba's barge for their life, not only have they hooked up multiple times before they knew they were related, then hooked up after they were related, and conceived Ben Solo. Now he's painting Han Solo as a cuck.
Romantic. That's why he's always so cynical and snarky. He's trying to, protect himself. Poor guy. When he looks at Princess Leia, he knows that she's completely out of his league, and so he's constantly shocked that she wants anything to do with him. And so, he's willing to do anything for her.
He's willing to do anything for her. Han Cuck Solo is what he is theorizing. This is what he's giving to his audience, his 900,000 subscribers. Luke and Leia banged and made Kylo Ren, and Han Solo is just a sweet, lovable guy who recognizes that Leia's out of his league. He decided to cuckold himself and allow it to happen. Absolutely unhinged.
All right. I understand. Fine. When he comes back, I won't get in the way.
If their relationship is going to fail, it's not because of work. It's not because their child has fallen to the dark side. If anything, that would make these two come closer.
So he's recognized the problem that the character's reactions to what's happened in this universe doesn't make sense. And yet, he has come up with the most unbelievable, unhinged way to explain what happened.
Because the Han and Leia that I know will do anything to save their children. In Legends, Han and Leia are obsessively devoted parents. They raise 3 kids.
Man, look at this wholesome image. This is what was robbed. This is what was taken from us. It's what was stolen from us.
In constant war, trauma, and political chaos. It was really that family that got them through things. And so again, if anything, Ben falling to the dark side, all of this conflict, it should make this family closer. And so the only reason I can see Han and Leia getting divorced is if something really screwed up happens. Like Leia revealing to Han what actually happened between her and Luke. By the way, also take a look at...
He just glazes past that. Oh yeah, Leia probably told Han what happened, that she knowingly Lannistered Luke. And by the way, Ben was what, 10, 15 years old before he turned to the dark side? So that whole time, oh my gosh.
Kylo Ren's face, and no offense to Adam Driver or anything like that.
Oh my gosh, you guys aren't ready. You guys aren't ready for this.
Han, what actually happened between her and Luke. By the way, also take a look at Kylo Ren's face, and no offense to Adam Driver or anything like that, but one of the physical effects of inbreeding is facial asymmetry.
Adam Driver looks inbred, y'all. Adam Driver looks inbred, according to Generation Tech. The guy that came second place, I looked it up just because I knew he was going to be in the running. Second place, 2021, for Sexiest Man Alive. Kylo Ren looks inbred, is this guy's argument, his proof of his theory.
I also have a theory that inbreeding creates dark side babies, but maybe I'll save that theory for Ren's
inbreeding
face.
creates
No
dark side babies.
Adam Driver or anything like that, but one of the physical effects of inbreeding is facial asymmetry. I also have a theory that inbreeding creates dark side babies, but maybe I'll save that theory for another day because I have to see if the science checks out.
Oh yeah, you better make sure the science checks out before you give us any of your theories. I'm glad he did the work on this one, looking at Adam Driver's face and going, huh, he looks kind of inbred. No offense. Yeah, no offense though.
I think this is really the only reasonable explanation why Leia
The only reasonable explanation as to why Han and Leia aren't together.
and Han have separated, though. The in-universe reason in the books and movies honestly felt forced. It's like they came
The reason they came up with felt forced. But this is completely natural. This makes sense.
up with this idea that Han and Leia would no longer be together, and then they filled in the facts afterwards about why this happens.
Absolutely, that's what happened.
And so it just feels off. The other weird thing is that Han and Leia are described as very loving parents. Yet, for some reason, they send Ben to train with his uncle at a very young age. And the Lord said that...
Yeah, that's what you do with the Jedi Order. You send your kids off to go get trained. That doesn't make you a not loving parent.
Snoke basically is messing with Kylo Ren through the Force while he's still in her mother's womb. And Princess Leia tries her best to shield Kylo, but she doesn't really have the same training that her brother has. Which is why ultimately she wants Ben to train under Luke so that he can protect himself from the dark side. My understanding of Leia is that while she'll put duty ahead of her own personal desires, it was very difficult for her to let Ben out of her sight. There is a special connection between a mother and a child that just cannot be replaced. But then again, she does trust Luke, who is,
rambling.
Kylo Ren's either uncle or father in this case. And he's also a powerful Force user who has...
At this point, he's just completely off the reservation. Just rambling nonsense.
dealt with the dark side. I mean, remember, he was the one who thought Darth Vader was worth saving. Probably the only one who thought this. This is the same Darth Vader who is considered a war criminal by the New Republic and was a feared enforcer of Palpatine's will.
But why?
So this is him explaining why he fought to save Vader, who was obviously gone from the Force, from the good side of the Force, who was, Space Hitler. This is his explanation as to why he saved Vader instead of saving and was willing to kill Kylo. It's not because Kylo was too evil and shouldn't be left alive. It's because he was a mistake. He was an inbred mistake.
Why must you confront him?
Because there is good in him. I felt it. He won't turn me over to the Emperor. I can save him. I can turn him back.
This quality in Luke, his steadfast belief in the goodness of others and his father, is what made him such a special and heroic character. He never sought to destroy Darth Vader despite all of his previous...
I did not expect him to put Han in the iDubbbz chair. I think this guy needs to spend less time in Alabama. You're absolutely right, Ringy. This is just unhinged. Completely unhinged.
known crimes and the damage he's done personally to Luke and his friends. And so if Leia is worried about Ben falling to the dark side, there's no one better at not acting rashly against Ben than Luke. You know, her brother, who's already been through this.
You'd think so.
You're telling me after training Ben Solo for several years, developing a loving and close relationship with him, that one night Luke sees Ben sleeping and suddenly becomes afraid of him because he might be heading to the dark side?
Again, he's recognizing the problem, but going completely off the deep end on trying to explain, other than just saying it's bad. It can't possibly be bad. There has to be an explanation.
And attempts to murder him. The same Luke who grew more mature after his battle with Vader on Hoth, who became more forgiving during the battle.
He's
of
recognizing the problem.
With age, Luke Skywalker got more emotional and
it's
not
badly
less.
written.
That's a hard sell, if you ask me.
It's a hard sell.
The fact that Ben Solo is Luke's son, then that could create a sense of torment and torture inside of Luke that could lead to his character's behavior. He could potentially see Ben Solo as a cursed individual, someone who should have never been created. That would also
kill your son is better than kill your nephew, if the son is inbred. But only after, 15 years at this point? Unhinged.
So make Ben falling to the dark side an even more serious event as well. Luke is probably also concerned about destroying Leia and Han's relationship and family with his actions. I think that's the only reason why Luke would become such a shell of himself. If he was faced with genuinely perplexing moral conundrums, like accidentally or not accidentally boning his sister and having...
Accidentally boning his sister. Not sure how you accidentally do that. You just trip and fall one day and oops, there's a Kylo Ren. Absolutely unhinged.
Kid with her that is now tainted with the dark side. So yeah, that's kind of my theory here. You know, either the sequel trilogy writers didn't really understand the characters, or we're looking at one of the
Which one is the more plausible explanation for this?
most controversial hookups in galactic history. Either way, this whole situation is pretty screwed up.
Okay. So, he goes through all of that. Absolute nonsense. And then at the very end of the video, he tries to backpedal. Again, this was released in November. So it wasn't an April Fool's video, despite him saying...
Like, April Fools?
So maybe this was all a joke, but this is the final, like, 10 seconds of his video. Everyone knows who makes videos and sees retention. Most people click away as soon as you start to say, and in conclusion, I would like to say, so, or in this case, so yeah, that's my theory on... Most people click away at that point. You'll have like maybe 15% of people stick around that would hear him say April Fools. That makes me think that this wasn't an April Fool's. He does actually believe this, but he wanted to have an out right at the end. Just in case people came after him, he could say, oh, no, I was just joking, it was April Fool's. Also, I don't care about Star Wars, it's beneath me. I'm a grown-ass man. And then he throws this clip in at the end, which I will play because it's very funny. But he's not funny for putting it in here. Joe Dirt is a funny movie. You guys should go watch that.
She's your sister, dude. She's gotta be, and you made out with her, man. What's wrong with you, you pervert?
Pausing for copyright.
Well, I didn't know she was my sister when I kissed her, so it's not my fault.
And even in Joe Dirt, they didn't hook up. They just made out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is far and away the most unhinged Star Wars theory that I have ever seen. The fact that your mind would even go there, like someone said in the chat earlier, is a massive self-report. Like, for years, people have made fun, like decades, since the movies came out, since it was revealed that Leia was Luke's sister. Everyone's made fun of the fact, oh, they kissed before they knew. Oh, that was a little weird, that was a little awkward now in retrospect. And then you move on to thinking about other stuff. This guy, who doesn't care about Star Wars, he doesn't have time for this, who has his elitist video essay side of his brain that likes to critique things and recognizes that Star Wars is mostly janky, you know, it's always been janky. He's putting some thought into something. He might not care about Star Wars for the reasons most of us care about Star Wars, because of the story, the cool lore, especially in the expanded universe, the good character work that they do. I was talking with Dyad the other day about Corin Horn, just super cool character. Hopefully they don't ruin him if they bring him into the Squadrons show. Like, there's a lot of reasons to like Star Wars and to let it, you know, to think about it and to mull over stuff. This guy thinks about different things when he thinks about Star Wars. When he's not buying Lululemon at Costco to support his family. Again, not criticizing him as a person, but the things you say do matter, and they do tell. They speak louder than you might realize. Or I might have gotten rage baited. It is possible that I got rage baited here. That this was all a joke. He doesn't actually think this about it. He just thought, what's an unhinged thing I can do to get clicks so that I can support my family and buy them Costco Lululemon. Either way, pretty disingenuous, and it came out 2 months ago. Doesn't really seem to have worked. I'm not trying to throw any shade. I am punching up, so if you're worried about that. He's got 900,000 subscribers, but this video only did about 26,000 views, which, you know, for a channel like mine, that's awesome. But for a 900, almost at 1 million subs, rage bait fail. And the title isn't even that rage baity. It just says this fixes Star Wars, but at what cost? So if it's not rage bait, and it's not April Fool's because it came out in November, what are we left with? Food for thought. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I gotta go clock back into work because this was my lunch break stream. If you guys enjoyed this and would like to see me do more stuff like this, cover some more unhinged videos. I don't know if we're ever gonna find something as unhinged as this. Maybe I should have saved this one for later, but if you guys do want to see more stuff like this, then let me know in the comments. I do, you know, I'm not trying to engagement bait here. I do genuinely read every single comment that comes across my videos because, you know, I want to know what you guys think because I'm a deeply insecure person and I crave the validation of strangers online. So let me know what you guys think if you guys want to see me do more of this. I got some friends that that I might bring on to talk about videos next time, so it's not just my stupid voice on here. So if you guys want to have me bring some people on, let me know about that too. Saw someone ask earlier about Clone Wars Part 2, the next video that I have coming out. I am still working on it. I got really sick over the holidays, and I'm still recovering from that. My voice is still recovering, and so I haven't gotten to record for that in a while, but I am still working on it. I'm hoping to have it out end of February at the latest. It's a long one, so it's going to take a little while, but now that my voice is starting to recover and get back, I should be able to get back in the recording booth and be able to get that video out soon. TM, as we say in the biz. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. I will talk to you guys at a later date. And